Jerusalem without his little speech. But the commander would have preferred it if Judah would have simply give up out of fear or discouragement or despair. The enemy of our souls, like I was saying earlier, Satan literally uses that exact same approach. Many of us picture Satan as itching for a fight with us, but really, Satan doesn't want to battle with you. First of all, there's not a strong chance that you will win. Second of all, win or lose, the battle can draw you closer to the Lord. Thirdly, what the Lord does in your life through the battle can be a great blessing for other people. No, Satan would much rather not fight you at all. He would much rather try to talk you into giving up. And that's so true. And that's exactly what happened in the story. He would have much rather have talked them into giving up, but that's not what was on King Hezekiah's heart. Yeah, absolutely. It's Satan, absolutely. And we see this exact strategy used against, just like a type. We see this exact strategy used against Jesus during his temptation in the wilderness. When Satan promised Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in exchange for Jesus' worship, Satan was trying to avoid the fight. He was trying to talk to Jesus into giving up, but it didn't work with Jesus, and it shouldn't work with us. So one point I want to make that's really cool is, one day very soon, we all know that the rapture's coming, and we all, the devil knows it's coming, but he thinks he's gonna have his day. He thinks he's gonna get us all down, and he's still fighting really hard on each one of us. He has us surrounded, and he tries to get us to give up, like he did with King Hezekiah and that army. He tries to surround the fortified city that God has built for us. And what happens, and what do we do? And do we get down and do we worship? When we're outnumbered and we're outgunned. So one day, we're going to think that we're outnumbered. Each one of us come to this point a lot. But when that great battle happens, we're going to think that we're outgunned. But we know that we know the end of the story, that there's no chance. God will come and swoop us up. He'll destroy the army of Satan. And the remaining devils, the ones like those that are in the Assyrian camp, that they'll wake up when their friends and their brothers were slain, and they'll know who it was. They'll know that it was God, and they'll flee. And one day they'll all die, and we'll all be in heaven together, and they'll know that they had no chance to start off with. But what must we do? We gotta trust in the Lord. And in the next, so in chapter 20, so we're going to wind down now. But in chapter 20, verse 1, it says, "In those days, King Hezekiah strikes ill." Okay, as Isaiah, which was the prophet at that time, he tells him to come into this house in order for his death to be, because his death is imminent. It's going to happen, like he's going to die. So Isaiah comes to him and says, just get your house in order. Go ahead and make sure everything's right, because you're going to die. Most of us, actually, none of us ever really have that. We never really, if somebody's going to die, they don't have a prophet coming to tell them that, And so what did Hezekiah do? He turns to God. He worships him. He reminds God that he cannot worship him the same way from the grave. It says, "Now the Lord tells Isaiah, go back." So after he prays and after he worships, he says, "Go back and tell go back and tell Hezekiah, because of your worship, I have heard your prayer, and 15 more years will be added unto you." So cool, He asked the Lord, I just want a little bit more time. I can't really worship you from the grave. Everybody's a little bit afraid of dying. He was a little afraid, but God saw in his heart that it wasn't vain. He really wanted to do more for God. It's so funny. So I think it's verse 6 or verse 7. Hezekiah said to Isaiah, because Hezekiah he accepted that he was going to be healed, but he wanted a sign from God, and he wanted the word of the Lord and the slaying of the Assyrians. That wasn't enough. He wanted a sign saying, I'm going to live. And Hezekiah said to Isaiah, "What shall be a sign that the Lord will heal me, and that I shall go up into the house of the Lord on the third day?" And Isaiah said, "This is the sign to you from the Lord, that he will do this thing that he had promised. Shall the shadow, denoting the time of day, go forward 10 steps, or go back 10 steps?" So he asked him. He's like, "Do you want it to go back 10 steps, or do you want it to go forward?" And Hezekiah answered, "It is an easy matter for the shadow to go forward 10 steps. So let the shadow go backwards 10 steps. So Isaiah the prophet literally, so this is so cool. Like, he asked for a sign, he gets a sign. So I wanted to, like, kind of dramatize this for you for just a minute. So just imagine Hezekiah, and he's laying in bed, and he's deaf, and he's sick unto death. He's ill, he's going to die.